that rugby is a game of rough and tumble, and it's not just the players who come into the firing line. Now, this sporting treasure has really seen its fair share of the knocks, but so has this blue safety helmet. So the question is, how are they connected? Well, they're part of a rich historic rugby relationship that came to blows both on and off the field. This tale begins with a game that brought the country to a standstill.
The ball is significant because it really did make rugby history in New Zealand. This was the ball that was used in the Test match between the Springboks and the All Blacks in 1956 at Eden Park in Auckland. The All Blacks had won 2 of the Test matches, the Springboks had won the other. So they were going into the deciding Test match potentially with a draw or potentially with the All Blacks winning 3-1. The All Blacks and the Springboks had been like major sporting foes since 1921, but the All Blacks had never cracked the Springboks.
It's a try to New Zealand. Peter Jones has scored.
Peter Jones scored a try, and then Don the Boot Clark, he converted the try and then scored 2 penalties, and the Springboks just couldn't match that. We won, thank God. To finally win the Test series in 1956 and to win in front of a home crowd, that was just a crowning glory for the nation, which was truly united by the game of rugby.
In the years following the tour, the relationship between South Africa and New Zealand was tested beyond the goalposts. South Africa's law of apartheid meant that no black African could play for the Springboks until 1992. Nor could any Māori play for the All Blacks touring in South Africa until 1970, and then only as an honorary white. Despite all the racial controversy, the Springboks continued to tour New Zealand, much to the opposition of some Kiwis. They took matters into their own hands with the help of this humble helmet.
This is part of our sporting history as well, but kind of for the opposite reason from the ball that we were talking about earlier. This belonged to John Minto, and he was a member of HART. HART stands for Halt All Racist Tours, but this actual helmet was worn in 1981 when the whole country was divided over rugby. The Springboks visited New Zealand and all hell broke loose.
One of the most famous protests took place at the New Zealand versus South Africa game in Hamilton on the 25th of July, 1981. The country came to a standstill again for different reasons. Now, just before kick-off, 350 protesters invaded the pitch. While the police were busy trying to clear the field, there was trouble brewing in the stands. The game was cancelled and the rugby fans retaliated, and John Minto felt the full brunt of their frustration.
John was chased by some really angry rugby supporters into a house, and he was basically attacked. So, fearing for her boyfriend's well-being, his girlfriend went out and purchased this pretty basic bike helmet for him. And apparently it was very effective. He got a few whacks, but the helmet kept him safe.
So the helmet's become an emblem of our protest?
Yeah, you could say that, actually. Yeah, and John wearing it with his distinctive overalls is very iconic of the protest movement.
Today, the scene's really different here in New Zealand when the Springboks tour. Yet all the memories of the conflicts and of the celebrations are kept alive through these treasures. They document our 20th century history for generations to come.